Melanated family, we are back. Brand new episode of the Melanated Convo podcast. I'm happy to be back with
Yay.
my sister Sonia Williams-Lewis. Sonia, how you doing today?
I am fabulous. Imagine this, y'all. We're about to be in August tomorrow.
Already.
Like I'm tripping off that mentally. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first day of this year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember things from each month of this year. Like, how
Mm-hmm.
did we get here so quickly? Yeah.
Yep. Time definitely be flying, and to everybody listening, it seems like it coincides with your age too. When
Nah, I'm getting younger. I don't know about nobody else.
when you getting a little older, it seems like to me time just be flying,
Right.
birthdays be coming by, Christmas be just coming and going. You know what I
Like,
mean?
yep.
It's hard to get a handle on it sometimes. I think what happens, Sonia, I think you begin to realize the value of time.
Yes.
You begin to realize how valuable your time is, your decision making. So you're
Absolutely.
looking at things a little bit differently. I remember being a kid and it was summer break. I didn't really get a grasp that it was 3 months.
Right.
I was just playing every day. You know what I mean?
And then you was bummed when it was over. You was like,
When it was over.
dang.
And
Yeah.
like, you ready for the school year? And I'm thinking it's actually 9 months. It ain't even a year.
Right.
Once you're a parent, that damn school year fly by. But anyways,
Bye. Yes.
let's get it going. Brand new episode of the Melanated Convo podcast. I'm your brother Harrison. Happy to be back with my sister Sonia. Now, we're going to talk about a few news stories, everybody, but the main topic of the show, and I want people to chime in on this, does it matter if your woman make more money than you? Like, how do we feel about that as black men and women? The person who makes more money, what are they entitled to? Do they get more say so? Do they get to tell the other person what they should do or what they should not do? I was doing a lot of research for this topic, and it varies in how our people feel about this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But please do me a favor, everybody. Go to precisioncreates.com. Precisioncreates.com is the name of my website. The name of the business is Precision Design Studio, where if you know somebody that needs customized t-shirts, I can do customized t-shirts, any number that you need. I also have original apparel as well. I don't have one of the shirts today, but we have a melanated state of mind shirt. We have a couple shirts dedicated to fathers. I have the original podcast tee. So do me a favor, man. Go to precisioncreates.com, support a black business. We also do flyers and logos for anything that you got going on. You feel me?
Right.
So everybody, thank you for joining me today. Again, we're going to get into a few news stories, but the topic for the day, me and my sister going to discuss is, does it matter if your woman make more money than you? You feel me? And again, so I do another show during the week, but I'm learning how to save certain topics for Sonia. You know what I mean? It's like certain things it's better discussed with a man and a woman.
Yeah.
And I'm beginning to learn that. You feel me? So let's get into it, man. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the Melanated Convo on YouTube. If you're watching the show on Facebook, hit the like button. If you're not following me on Facebook, my name is Harrison Anderson. Follow me on Facebook. That's where the show films live.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Sonia, first thing I want to talk to you about, Sonia. So Joe Biden, let me read something to you what Joe Biden is doing, right? So this week, President Biden signed a proclamation establishing the Emmett Till and Mammy Till Mobley National Monument in Mississippi and Illinois.
Yes.
The new national monument will help tell the story of the events surrounding Emmett Till's murder, their significance in the civil rights movement in American history, and the broader story of Black oppression, survival, bravery in America, and everything else they. Because I'm reading this clip from the White House website, so they kind of butter it up to make it sound how they want, Sonia. But first time you heard this, Sonia, because again, we talk a lot about white supremacy on this show, about racism, all the symbolism that's placed on our community.
Right.
And we know the story. Like, we know the woman responsible for murdering this young man just died a few years ago, and nothing happened to this woman at all, even though several attempts were made to arrest her, make her pay for what she did to this young brother. So when you seen this monument, how'd you feel about it, Sonia?
First off, I was you already know I'm gonna have mixed emotions. So I always try to give both perspectives about things, or multiple perspectives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So over the life and time of him transitioning due to this woman's accusation, which led to his ultimate murder and assassination and lynching, there have been markers that honor like the place where he was murdered,
Mhm.
and they've been vandalized time and time and time again, and they've had to redo them and revamp them and all the kind of things. And so part of me is like, why? I get it, Biden. I really do. I get that you are, and I don't want to be, a naysayer either and say that Biden is pandering to the black vote and the black consciousness, right?
Mhm.
I honestly and truly believe he is a person that is moving under the auspice of humanity. Like, this is the right thing to do, so we're going to do it.
Yes.
So my only thing about any monument that memorializes our folks who have been on the ground grassroots of the struggle, where the trauma and the harm and the oppression was firsthand experienced, is that there needs to be better ways within our government systems, and we know that we can, because
Mhm.
we protect buildings all the time. We
Yep.
protect white capitalist buildings
Yep.
when it has to deal with white capitalism building white wealth. We
Mhm.
we protect those kind of things. So I'm wanting to see some kind of security so that I feel secure in the fact that these monuments will not be tarnished ever
Mhm.
again.
Mhm.
That's the only bad, side that I have to say about it, is like, we didn't have some markers and some monuments,
Mhm.
and because of white supremacy, because of the threat of white to white comfortability, they have found ways to destroy our monuments,
Mhm.
and that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And so I just want to see us do better as a collective when it
Mhm.
comes to humanity.
Yes. So I definitely understand your sentiments regarding that, Sonia. But I think like this situation in particular. Now, if the monument was of a different individual, I
Right.
may feel a little bit different. But with the Emmett Till situation, for years, like me and you was just talking about, for years we were well aware of the woman who got this man killed or got this young brother killed. There were several attempts to try to arrest this woman and do different things, using legalities to make her be held accountable, and this never happened. So to me, this is more of a symbolism
Yeah.
type of type of situation, because we had an opportunity to make this right. In
Yeah.
situations like this, the only way to make injustice right is by applying justice, and no justice was done. And and I think Biden, I was reading about just what he's attempted to do for the black community,
Yeah.
how we are a really large constituency of people that he needs
Right.
in order to get elected. So I think there is some symbolism there. And also, just speaking about Biden, Sonia, I was looking at some of the initiatives that he tries to put forward, right? And it looks like politicians are always on an uphill battle, because you have a whole nother side of it that has to agree to what you want to do. So
Right.
yeah, I can say I want to give money to HBCUs. I can say I want to hold police accountable, but a lot has to happen in order for this to take place. Now, let me ask you a quick question, because you're more keen to politics than I am. Do you
Okay.
think that certain times politicians will introduce legislation
Ooh.
knowing the political process, knowing that it'll get held up, knowing that the other individuals who have to agree to it may not agree to it, but at
Yeah.
least you can say you tried?
Yeah. I think that is definitely something for um that many politicians, non-black politicians, have considered.
Hmm.
Like, what is the implication if I do this, right? Because white power is white power, and we're
Hmm.
talking about a white power structure.
Hmm.
And so it's almost like they have nothing to lose if they.
Hmm.
So what? Y'all gonna turn it down? Okay, well, I
Hmm.
tried. I think conversely, when it comes to black and brown politicians or marginal politicians from marginalized communities, um, it often is that thing that becomes, oh, they did this, and now we gonna get them. And so
Hmm.
it's a hard um line to tread if you introduce something that's controversial, because the efforts to get you out of that office is going to be higher than if you were a white person. And so I think it's different. But I definitely think it's something that politicians think about. Like, who I was at Sacramento City Council meeting last Tuesday, and I was like, okay, the guard has changed. I'm looking at these faces now. I've been going to Sacramento City Council meetings for the past 20 years. And this is for the first time the most women that are on the sitting at the dais, but there are no black women. let me just be very clear and honest, right? There's one black man who has perpetuated and, in my opinion, upheld white supremacy, because silence is violence. And so the guard has changed. But even with the guard changing, if the system doesn't change, if we don't say we're going to get together today and we all say, and I would even venture to say that the majority of the folks who are on that city council are Democrats. So y'all, it's not like y'all fighting each other. So y'all can get the majority for the progressive movement, for the people who are constituents in this town who progressively put you in office and say, we have these needs, so do these things. So systems have to be the things that get challenged in order for laws to be impactful, if that makes sense.
Definitely. And also something else I want to pick your brain about before we move forward. Like, what do you think, just reading things about Biden, the election coming up, everything going on with Trump, why does it seem like, because I'll have conversations with people about politics and I'll mention something that happened that I think is racist or that was unjust, and opposed to just speaking about the issue in the human side of it, everybody always goes to this Republican Democrat gangbanging shit where they'll say, that was a Democrat who did that to you.
Right.
Why do you think, like, the Democratic Party, I have my feelings about it, but why do you think the Democratic Party has like such a stranglehold on the black community? Because I was reading some stuff about, hey, some of us are not happy with Biden so far in the job that he's done, but when they surveyed people, so you're not happy with him, but would you vote for Trump or would you vote for DeSantis? You know what I mean? And their mentality is, no, I'm gonna still vote Democrat even though I'm not happy with this president. To me, that don't make no sense, Sonia.
It doesn't make sense. And I have been an advocate for the elimination of this two-party system for all of my political career. Like, I can remember getting out of high school and was like, oh, I get to vote. But I also remember having conversations with my parents when it would be election time, and they would stress the importance of voting. So it was passed down. The conversation or the thought process of it being important was passed down from their generation to my generation. They did a really good job of making sure that I was prepared to be an educated, concerned voter. But what I witnessed from them was like you just said, voting for Democrat after Democrat and being let down, right? So I can remember that there was a time period, and hopefully my mama's not watching this episode. Maybe she catching it, and I have to give her a little caveat and be like, watch this by yourself, because I don't want you getting in your feelings. So there was a time period that she was like, well, bump this, I'm gonna vote Republican. And I'm gonna see if they do something that helps my own interest. And so that's the question that I ask people: is this individual going to do something that hinders your progress? So that's sometimes where we don't realize. We always looking for that golden pie in the sky. Where's the rainbow? Where did I get more money? But my question that I ask you when you go and vote is: did they make your life worse? Trump made our life worse. And I can give you a litany of policies that made our lives worse. Has Biden made our lives worse? And so that's the question that I have to. I'm not saying has he made my life better, because that's a whole totally different question.
Definitely.
Has he made our, and when I say our, collectively, for Black folks, for marginalized groups, for poor folks, has his policies and his time in office made our life worse? So therefore, I'm going to still lean towards, but I gave you that caveat in the beginning. I am not in agreement with a two-party system. I think we have more room, more growth to do around politics. And I think that we can do better because Democrats and Republicans, when it comes to Black folks, they stab us in the back every time. We can literally pull the knife out of our backs. we can see, we can turn around and look in the mirror and be like, yep, I remember when you stuck that knife in. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, that was back in 1982 when you did that war on drugs. Yeah, we know
Yep.
the
There you
time,
go.
place, and circumstance.
Mhm.
Um, I think that we also have to do, Democrats in particular have to do a better job with their messaging, like, and serve it. Like, Republicans are very astute about their messaging. they're,
Mhm.
they're like, no, we're not going to do that. Yeah, it might sound a little racist, and we're okay because we're still not going to do that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Period. There's no questions about it. But Democrats oftentimes they straddle the fence in a way that the talk is like they got two talking heads, and it's like, we want to do this, but if we do it, then they gonna feel a certain kind of way, and I gotta go home at night to with people who look like me who gonna not vote for me if I do that. So
Yeah.
that's the unfortunate downside about a two-party system.
Mm.
And I hope that the next generation, like, I really and truly, Harrison, I have faith in our young folks these days. I feel hopeful about the future. I
Mhm.
think they are going to change some shit that we ain't ready for.
Hopefully.
Change some stuff that we probably dreamed about and thought about and was like, what would even happen if that happened?
Mhm.
And can we do that? But we doubt ourselves because we still are the spooks that sit behind the door. We are those imposters in our own head saying that they ain't gonna roll with us if we do that.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
we don't try, I tell my kids all the time, a try ain't nothing but a try, a ask ain't nothing but a ask. And if you don't try and if you don't ask, you never know what might not happen.
This is very true. This is very true. I just hate that we get put in this position every 4 years. So,
Yes.
I'm not telling people to kind of divorce the political system or not be
Right.
involved. I say just look at that as one piece.
Yeah.
I've said it a lot more radical before, but
Yeah.
I say it now. Like, don't. There's other ways. If you're looking to improve your day-to-day life, improve your community, there's a lot of ways to do it.
Absolutely.
The political forum is one of the ways change can happen. I just don't like when people in our community commit to the political process, but don't commit to
Over
the
the other stuff.
community. Don't
Yes.
commit to the community building and lose sight of what they can do right in their goddamn neighborhood. Like a
Right.
lot of us, there's more power you can wield. For one, we need to work together. I think
Yes.
it may sound too ambitious, but I think if we voted as a block of people, like if black folks said we're all, and this is
That
wishful thinking.
would be so incredibly powerful, and I know that we can. We
Yep.
are the if you collectively add up the wealth of black folks in our country alone, in America
Hmm.
alone, black
Hmm.
Americans,
Yeah.
our economic power would be equivalent to the seventh largest economy in the world. Don't tell me we can't do this political thing.
This is a fact. This is a fact. I just think we've been brainwashed. We've been beaten
To
down
a
and
high
we've
degree.
been downtrodden for so long that a lot of times we believe in the hype and we just want to feel good. So I want them Jordans. Fuck, fuck, fuck putting
Tell
this
the
money
truth.
into a pool or something so I can
Tell
get a
the
store with my
truth.
homeboys. I just want this Jordans because it's that short term thinking
Right.
that a lot of us have to. It may take some time to get out of this mindset because where we were raised, and you know what I mean. This
Right.
system did a number on
It has
all of
done
us.
a huge number on us. I can remember graduating from college or leaving Atlanta, and on our drive back, we stopped in Dallas. My aunt, this was during the first time that Bill Clinton was running for president,
Hmm.
and my aunt was like she is a political powerhouse in Dallas. Like, you say my auntie's name, and she moving things. And so she had asked me that year. She was like, next year is an election year. What are you going to do when you get back to California to move the political agenda for the voices of young people? Because I'm
Hmm.
counting on you as now an educated black woman who is going to have more economic power than traditionally our community has. What are you going to do to even and level the playing field?
Hmm.
And so I said, Auntie, I'm really disillusioned by the political system. I don't think that I'm going to vote. And she almost had a heart attack. And then she went into this very concise, clear. I have never had someone explain politics with such clarity. She said, bump who's president, worry about your local politics, because at the local level, that's the litmus test. So if you figure out that you can do something in Sacramento, LA, Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta, it's a rinse and repeat. Local politics is not as harsh, and the wheel doesn't clog up as easily as the national level. So we have to take those things into consideration, because running for a local, one of my girls, one of my good girlfriends, Spelman graduate, one of my Spelman sisters is running for Sacramento mayor. Right? This will be the first time a Black woman is not running for mayor, but will hopefully be elected to mayor.
Yeah.
She's not taking any money from unions. She's not taking any money from the environmentalists and big oil. She's not taking any money from law enforcement. It is really and truly a grassroots effort. And it's going to require, because Sacramento is so diverse, it's going to require more than just us as Black folks. It's going to require building some bridges with our brown brothers and sisters, with our Asian brothers and sisters, with our Middle Eastern brothers and sisters, where anti-Blackness still exists to a high degree. So when we can break down those conversations at a local level, because I can touch flow, right? People tell me all the time, Sonia, when are you running for political office? I'd be like, please, we're not.
You don't want to, Sonia?
I don't want to say that I don't want to, and I'm not going to take it off the table. But what I am going to say is I know the danger of the political machine on the other side targeting children. My babies are still babies. And so it is on my, bucket list of things to consider. And when I do, everyone will know. And I'm expecting everybody to go in their pockets, because it takes a huge penny to run an election. But I just don't want to put my babies through that. I know that when I was active in Black Lives Matter, I know that that's going to come up. I know that they're going to pull up footage of me cussing out the mayor, or cussing out Scott Jones, whole protest in front of his house.
Yeah.
His kids and his family was, felt like they were at harm and danger by 7 Black women standing across the street with, hoodies on, with a candle for a candlelight vigil, because y'all didn't murder X amount of people. And we were quiet. And he said his family felt like they were threatened. But I know those kind of things will come up in conversation. And I would have to be focused on those things rather than the issues. And that's part of, I think, where we get caught up is, we have so many good intentions, so many qualified people to run for our political offices, even at the local level. They don't, because these are the extra traumas. That would be trauma on me and my babies. And I right now, I don't want to put them through that. The youngest is 10. And so give me a few years. Give me,
no, that's a good point.
Give me a decade.
That's a good point. It makes sense. You running for office, your whole family running for office.
Whole family is running.
Everybody gets involved.
How many times do they say Biden's son, right?
Yeah.
His name comes in conversation all the time.
Yeah. So that's definitely a fact. So that was good, Sonia. So the long and short of it is, do we need the Emmett Till Monument? Maybe. For some people, they can see that as a source of empowerment. To me, it's just a reminder of how y'all done that young brother wrong. Y'all had the opportunity to fix that in real time, and it never happened. Right. So,
and in modern time, because when before she died, I was in favor of her old ass going to sit in jail and prison
until she died.
But they didn't do that.
The message that would have sent if we would have seen an 80-year-old woman getting handcuffed and brought to jail.
The elation of that.
Give me a monument of that shit. You know what I mean? So on to the next story. So please hit the like button, subscribe to the Melanated Convo, either on Facebook or YouTube. So speaking of voting in politics, Sonia, something else I want to pick your brain about, because this is a small town in Alabama.
Yeah.
So New Bern, Alabama, a Black man named Patrick Braxton decided to run for mayor, like in 2020, of this small town, right? Keeping in mind that this was a small town kind of built on racism, probably one of them sundown towns, that the town was built on that type of structure. So from its inception to the late 1800s to now, Sonia, the town has only had like 2 or 3 mayors, and it's been nepotism. It's been white supremacy, meaning one white man die or get old, he just usher in whoever else he thinks needs to be the mayor. Well, this Black man who volunteered as a firefighter, really helpful in the community, he decided, you know what? I want to run for mayor too. He looked at the loopholes and how to do the process, but because because it was only 2 or 3 mayors throughout the town's history, it wasn't set in stone. How do you become the mayor? What road do you take? So he found the loopholes to become mayor, Sonia. But these white folks did everything they could to keep him out of office. They even went to the degree of having a meeting without him to, again, like maneuver around the rules in the political ideology they had, just to make sure he wasn't mayor, right? Yeah. So when I look at this, Sonia, because this is in a small town in New Bern, I think it's 200 and some odd people in the actual town. Now it's 85% Black. So sometimes I think when I look at any town or environment where it's majority Black people, in my mind, I'd be like, shit, why don't we just raise up and do what we got to do to take it over? You know what I mean? But we know how that can go, right? But when you look at something like this, because again, you're more well-versed at politics than me, but this looks like something that happens on a larger scale as well. Yeah. Just not as evident at like this situation. So, and another good part of this, like one of the good parts of this to me, is this brother's actually suing them. Yeah. So opposed to just taking, because since 2020, Sonia, he's been getting harassed. Yeah. He's been getting they've been trying to intimidate him in all type of ways. This brother's like a firefighter. Like, he volunteers to be a firefighter, and when a fire happens or something, they'll lock him out of town hall. Right. They'll create all these loopholes, even at the detriment of other people. He said, Sonia, he was also like helping the police department, like firefighter, like just the police department. And there was like a 911 call for a Black lady who had a heart attack or something, and they maneuvered that situation so he couldn't get there in time, right? So at the detriment of people's lives, they act this way. So when you see a situation like this about a small town, what do you think?
So again, small town politics is the litmus for what we can get away with or how progressive we can be. And so white folks in this town have proven to Alabama that our political power and structure is going to sustain itself. And here's how we are going to sustain itself. From what I've gathered and doing a little bit more research on New Bern, it was a town that was incorporated during slavery. Mm-hmm. They had a high production of cotton. And so cotton was king, even after the emancipation. And so I would venture that the majority of those who are still in power to this day in 2023 or 2020, when the last election took place, that those families have been able to transfer the wealth from generation to generation. One of the tactics that they've used is to lock him out of city politics by physically locking him out.
Literally locking him out, locking the door.
Literally. And so I think that the only way, and I'm 100% in favor of this federal civil rights lawsuit, right? Because I think if they have, and not I think, remember, we have to change the narrative around what we want based on how we say and approach certain things. So I know for certain that if there is a judgment against the town, against the folks who are locking the loophole to the political structure there in New Bern, he will get some assistance to come in and not just shake up things for his own protection for himself physically, but protection of the position that he was elected to upheld. And so what that does from a federal perspective is it provides funding, right? He will get a judgment, hopefully in his favor, that says you've been harmed in this kind of way. This is how you were prevented from doing your job, this kind of way. And here is here's some financial piece to compensate you for that. On the flip side of that, it sends a message to, again, the white power structure, the families that have been able to pass on generation to generation, not just the laws and the money, right? But what the cultural standard is in that town, that this is the way that we do things. Because I don't know a huge amount of history about this young man, but he's lived there all his life. And I would venture to say that some of our our elders in our community are stuck on the old guard, and so they oftentimes turn the cheek. And
This is very
so
true.
turning the cheek hasn't gotten us very far. And
This is true.
I am not an advocate for violence, and so I'm not saying slap a person instead of turning the cheek. I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that there are other ways that you can galvanize. Like there's no way, if y'all lock the door, I'm bringing 20 pookies in them to break in the building.
There we go. There we
Like,
go.
why are we not thinking outside of the box when it comes to how we are challenging these systems, these norms that have had a stronghold?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the question that I have. I don't want to be the do-good Negro who like is going to be to themselves, going to be talking about, oh, well, we're just gonna wait for them to come and take care of us. We're gonna wait for them to do the right thing. I have never been able to get down with one. I can't. I'm not gonna turn the other cheek.
And this is a town 85% black. And
Yes.
mentioning the old guard and how older black people do shit, sometimes we need to lend our thinking to how the young people get down.
Right.
Like the young people do a lot of bullshit, let's be honest, but they don't care. Like what what they want, they go after.
They go after it.
They not holding on to histories of being treated a certain way. They gonna get what they want. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
in this situation, sometimes, like you said, he should have showed up because he was elected. Like that was his job. You show up with all them young dudes in town who you know with it and do what you got to do. Like sometimes you got to be bold. That's why I'm happy the brother is at least filing a lawsuit because this put a target on his back. Because this story is in all the news cycles. So
right
everybody
now,
from that town.
This is hot right now. This is when you get some action right now. Because on the first day that I was elected, I would have every locking up, every municipal building within that city, I would have changed. All the locks would have been changed. Y'all couldn't lock me out of something that y'all have historically by election locked us out of. You could not have. And I mean, that's what I mean by the power and the will of young folks, because they just completely think, they'd be like, okay, it's just a building. Let's break some windows. Let's get up in there and do what we got to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people will deem us violent or aggressive in all these terms they use.
Yeah.
But in a lot of these situations, you're being the aggressor. Yeah. So if the system is being the aggressor, we've seen, like you just mentioned, turning the other cheek, deciding not to do nothing.
Yeah.
That's the little bit of progress we've been able to make so far. Hasn't been able to happen by doing that. So you got to be willing to fight. You got to be sometimes you got to be willing to put your ass on the line, and whatever happens, because as we can see, all of us who know history, the individuals who have put their life on the line for us, I don't think it was worth nothing. I think that actually helped. I think that actually helped move the needle forward. Even if it's just our mentality changing and seeing a symbol or a person that was able to do things on their own 2 feet, opposed to always getting on your goddamn knees, opposed to always looking to the ground. This ain't the 60s or the 50s. Let's get this shit popping. Like shit, I'm gonna die one day. Like, but however that happens. But shit, today, I'm gonna have to fight for my people because the kids are watching. The people coming up behind you are watching. You see? So yeah, he could have caused more ruckus and got them goddamn keys, and I would have been sitting in there when they had that.
There should have been a transfer plan. Like, what is this gonna look like for us?
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes we just expect that folks gonna do the right thing, even
though
we know that they have proven that they will never do the right thing. It
never happens. We need to get on the same.
I move by how you give, what energy you give. I got you. I'm matching your energy. So if you grimy and gully, I've been watching you be grimy, so I've mastered how to be grimy too. I don't want to be grimy with you, but I know how, because you've conditioned me to accept your griminess. Nah, we can't do that no more. So we have to, oftentimes I tell people all the time, when I was a teacher, I'm looking at all the throwaways, and I'm using that word intentionally, all the students that the other teachers have low expectations about. I'm building up that tribe. As a teacher, I want to see them. I want to see them have one moment where they felt like they were successful, where they had one moment to say, "I passed that class, and I remember this teacher, and I remember that subject." I have so many students who come back to me and was like, "Miss Lewis, because no teacher ever told me that I could, I never tried." My mom and daddy told me I was smart at home. I figured stuff out at home, right? I could read the manual and set up a TV or set up this, that, and the other. But my teachers don't trust me to be able to read a book and pass a test. So I'm just going to go in there and I'm going to sit in a class and not be disruptive, but I'm not going to pass because they don't believe in me anyway.
This is a fact. Yep.
So we got to change that narrative. Believe that and you asked the question earlier, would I consider, running? Believe me when I tell you, if I run for any political office, I'm coming to shake some shit up. It's not going to feel normal. I want us to feel uncomfortable because that's the only, when those shoes get tight on your toes as a kid and you had to go tell your mama my toe is hurting. It wasn't comfortable. When that first little, for us women, I'm going to use this as an example. I can remember that there were some cute ass shoes that I wanted so bad, and it was a half size too small. I bought them son of a suckers anyway. I promise you I bought them. They was cute, Harrison, cute. And it had an expiration. Yeah. I can only wear them shoes for an hour.
Then they had to come off your feet.
They had to come off because they were then beginning to rub and do that thing that it do. Yeah, and you got a boil or a blister on, and then you got to recover from that no matter what kind of shoe you wear. You're going to feel it still. So, growing pain is the only way to accept change. We have to grow together.
There we go. And I'm happy that this brother seen like the political indifference in his little town and decided to do something. But we have to be bold, y'all. Yes. And because everything you talking about with running for office, that makes sense to me. But we don't need Black folks to get in office and then commence to abiding by the status quo.
Doing
that shit doesn't help us. Now, if you just got in politics to have a job and it's something you was interested in, you got to be honest and tell us, I ain't come here to help you, niggas.
Right.
I'm here for me. I'm here for money. I'm here for political clout, whatever it may be. But we look at somebody Black in a political position and we think, ooh, help.
Right.
But that's not the case.
Or you're in political office to be that Captain Saver or you're poverty pimping. You know, so they know the roles that they play. And I'm saying those terms because usually the poverty pimp and the those who are, saying, "Oh, I want to be a Captain Saver," those are usually your Democrats. I'm just being honest, right? Yep. So, the Republicans gonna be like, nope, I can't do that. We don't need that. We need to, cut the budget and, do this, that, and the other. Don't we want less government? Yeah, we do. But we want the government that we have. We want the system that we have to work to benefit those who are less, who are on the margins, those who are struggling the most. So I don't want you coming into my hood like, I can drop names. I don't want Mayor Darrell Steinberg to come into our hoods. And I can remember when George Floyd was murdered, and we had a protest at Cesar Chavez Park for like 13 days straight in a row. This sucker came and took a knee. When I will tell you, a year before that, when Stephon Clark was murdered, he admonished me. He admonished me in public as if I weren't an educated, hardworking, employed adult, right? Who was literally thinking outside of the box to fix the problem. But you're going to admonish me like I'm a child and tell me, go sit down over there. That's childish behavior. We don't want, you're too smart for that. You don't get to admonish. Who are you to admonish Kaepernick for taking a knee? Who are you to admonish the brothers in 1968 who raised their fist in it? Who? Why is political correctness so much more valuable than the humanity of each and every one of us? Like I'm like under the auspice I work under. If all of us can't get it, then none of us can get it.
You're goddamn right. That's why we need to be like, understand, try to get the best understanding of politics that you can, but really just be someone who seeks to help people,
Yeah.
who seeks to do what's right. That's why when it comes time for voting, it shouldn't even be about Democrat or Republican.
It should
It's
not.
who can do a better job.
Who can do a
Who
better
do I
job?
feel is not going to lie to me? And for my opinion, for people who say they want to sit out, do what you want to do, but have another plan of action to help your people or to address whatever issue you think is pressing in your life. You feel me? So shout out to this brother. I want to say his name one more time because he is putting his ass on the line. Patrick Braxton. It's a 57-year-old man. So good for this brother. Like you shouldn't look, man, you shouldn't live your whole damn life on your knees. At some point, you're gonna have to say fuck it.
Right.
I'm gonna go for it. And wherever I end up is where I end up. You feel me? Now, for the topic, Sonia, as a woman, because I got a lot to say about this, but as a woman, and a woman that's married, having children, right? So this will be a good conversation. So I was on the internet the other day, and I clicked on some video on accident, and this was a dude going in about how if I come home at 2:00 in the morning, you your ass better wake up. Your ass better wake up and make my food. Then I was intrigued. I was like, damn, why would the brother say this? You know what I mean? He was like, I pay all the bills, so your ass better get up and make food when I get home. You know what I mean? So, and they had a very spirited conversation about this topic. And that made me think, damn, does it matter who makes more money when it comes to black men and black women specifically? Not for like the greater society, but just for our community in general. Does it matter who makes more money? Like if the man makes more money, does that give him the right to say what should happen in the house? Damn near tell the woman what to do. I need my food cooked at this time. Feed the kids. You know what I mean? Does that really matter? Because real quick, before you give me your response, Sonia, I was looking at just for black folks to be aware, because we look at social media and we look at the Jay-Z's and Beyonce's. So I think we have a disillusion about how much money we actually have as a people in totality, right? So this is from the Department of Social Security, right? This is for last year. So when we look at black men, I'll go to black men first. Black men between the ages, we see here, black men between the ages of 20 to 29 make about $19,000 a year, 30 to 39 about $34,000 a year, 40 to 49 about 47, 50 to 59 about 48. Now black women, the same time period, 20 to 29-year-old, 19,000 a year. 30 to 39, 31,000, 40 to 49, 36,000, 50 to 59 years old, 42,000. So the amount of money that we make, like in total, not talking about celebrities or rappers.
So we're talking about averages then. We're not talking about individuals. We're talking about averages. And I think that that's important for people to hear. These numbers are important. Like we have really, because I'm thinking to myself, like at 29, did I make that a little bit? I was like, nah. But okay, average. So these are average. Okay, gotcha.
That's average. So the question I have for you, Sonia, being a woman, does it, in your mind, like, does it matter if you make more money than the man or he makes more?
So for me, at the individual, I'm saying no. It doesn't matter who makes more money. We have to collectively decide how our household is going to be run to the best of our abilities, right? I am a firm believer that gender norms are not something that I subscribe to. Because I was raised by a single mama, and so I saw her struggle, and I didn't know we was poor until I went to college, and poor hit me in my face when I couldn't call home, and she'd be like, "Oh, I can send you $30 for the month. That's $1 a day. Figure it out." And that was back in 1989. So I realized then where my economic stature was in the world. I will say that people have to be honest about what their beliefs, the cultural traditions that they want to uphold in their home. I'm not going to knock my best girlfriend or any of my friends if their spouse makes more, and then you say that if you bring home more to the household financially, that I should be responsible for doing more things in the home to take care of it. I'm not gonna knock. If that works for you, let that be your thing. But as a woman who has had an illustrious career, I've worked since the age of 13. I don't know what it feels like not to work.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you that there were 2 of my 6 babies that I did stay home for extended periods of time. And when I tell you, baby, I was like, I need to get up out of here. I can't handle. I'm not going to be the only person cleaning up after. So we had to have that conversation. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you're going to work 8 hours outside the home. I'm working 12 to 15 to 18 hours inside the home.
Mm-hmm.
That's not equal.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not paying me to do it. So what a person who's sitting at home, not bringing in the money or not bringing in the most money, we don't want to devalue what their position is and their contributions can be to that household.
Mm-hmm.
I think equity at all levels is important. And so we as men and women, we as partners in life, we as even in single parent homes, we as adult and children need to understand this is what the financial stability of our household as a collective looks like, and here's what we can be responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, I'll give you one example. In my household, I can remember being pregnant with my 5th baby, and the doctor put me on bed rest. And we had an upstairs, downstairs. This is probably this still is my favorite house that we lived in. Big house, like 3,500 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, big house. But it had this winding staircase that if I'm on bed rest, my bed is upstairs. There are some limitations that I need to limit the amount of times that I walk up and down those stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And so my doctor was like, I got one thing that she cannot do. She cannot do laundry. She cannot be lifting laundry baskets that are more than 10. She can't be lifting things, period, more than 10 pounds. And so my husband heard that. And I think had it not been for the fact that she was another Black woman that he trusted with the care of his baby inside of me, he wouldn't have received that information from me. He wouldn't have received it from me saying, I need you to do more around the house. Because I have been, for X amount of years, but I need you to do more around the house. I need you to cook every once in a while. I won't be the only cook in the house.
Wait, but okay, real quick. Do you think to a degree this is a generational thing? Because sometimes we have older brothers who do come from, like, we have to be honest, like the early inception of our families here in this country, at least. We're not talking about back in Africa. That's a whole different damn topic.
Right.
If we're talking about America, that was the template. The man went out, brought home the food. The woman was in the house doing everything she needed to do. So do you think like sometimes that's based on age, and it could be age or what you was taught in your house?
Right. I agree. I 100% think that it's a generational thing. But I know for sure that it couldn't have been across the board, because my mother demanded certain things of my father and my stepfather. And so she wasn't just I'm going to be the only. She was very outspoken and independent about how she was going to approach this relationship and marriage and the peace that she wanted to build in her house. Because at the end of the day, it's about peace. It's about peace of mind, knowing that I've contributed and done my best. So, back to my doctor telling my husband that I needed to be on bed rest. I will tell you, that was a godsend that she spoke up and advocated for me, because from that pregnancy, from that baby being, I've never, for the past 10 years, for the past 15 years, I have not done laundry because he got it.
Yeah.
He was, and I told him, I said, for me, it's like, once you start doing a thing, you can't take back. You can't tell me you don't know how to do that.
Yeah, no, I know.
I told we taught our kids. I can remember that same baby because I was on bed rest, and the doctor was like, even though you got a house full of hands, and so we sat our boys down, the older boys, and was like, okay, we're gonna need help sometime. Mommy's gonna need help, especially if daddy's at work with changing diapers. And 2 of my boys in particular, I will never forget this, Harrison. They came to us one day and they was like, we got a solution. We're going to have a competition of who can change the most diapers. And I looked them both in their eyes and I said, this ain't nothing but a thing. I am cheering you on and I'm cheering you on. But baby, once you learn how to change a diaper, you can't tell me, no, you don't know how to do it. So that means once you know how to do it, my expectation is that you're gonna help do it. And you can't take back that skill. You learn how to wash dishes. You can't say, "Oh, I don't know how to clean the kitchen."
Mm-hmm.
Once you learn how to sweep real good, you know, you can't say, "I don't know how to." It's the opportunity to leverage equity. So, you know, my boys, our household, it's about I don't want you to grow up and not know how to not do these things. So we're gonna rotate these chores around this house. You gonna know how to cook, because I don't want you to get with any woman because you think you need her to cook for you. I want you to be able to cook for yourself and cook for her, right? Make this an equitable thing, because I think that we get caught up with gender norms, and I think that that's part of it. But I do agree with what you said in regards to being generational. My dad has had to learn. My dad is an awesome cook. Both of my fathers, both of them were awesome cooks. My mother never cooked. My mother never cooked. She said, when she met my stepfather, she said, "Oh, you like to cook?" She said, "Oh, I don't. I will always clean the kitchen."
That's funny. But I think, Sonia, it's important. The thing about relationships to me, because there's always a lot of talk about these type of things, right? And I think, especially being a man, right? I think these things just have to be established in the beginning.
I agree.
Your ego starts to play tricks on you, you can allow friends and people around you to get in your ear only when a couple things is happening. When you didn't establish things early on. And to me, look, fellas, your woman can make more money than you, but you still got to be the man in the house. You can do both. See, I'm gonna be honest. I had to learn that man in the house isn't a financial thing.
Right.
Your input financially needs to happen, of course. And again, that's something y'all decide too. Who's gonna pay what? How we gonna pay it? That has to be decided. But at the end of the day, man in the house is about leadership. It's about what you say yes to, what you say no to, how to dictate the pace in the home, being involved in all the decision making, right? Because if this is something you establish in the beginning, you guys will know what to expect from each other. And I was reading something where this guy was kind of mentioning how, you know, whoever makes more money has more leverage in the relationship. And I don't think that's a fact. I think who you are creates the leverage, because I know plenty of dudes who make way more money than they female, but the woman can kind of dictate what he can do or what he can't do. That's the mentality that he got. You know what I mean? And also, I think leverage is, and shout out to my brother Zoe Williams, the Zoe Up Morning Show, guy I've been listening to for years. He mentioned something about leverage is created, or the person who has more power in the relationship is the person who doesn't care as much. Like the person who is emotionally inept, the person who emotionally they're not there. Right. So the other person is, because if you don't give a shit and the other person does, then that's going to be more trying on their mentality, how they feel about stuff, how they feel about you. But as a man, you just need to be involved in the decision making and dictate things based on your personality. So you can't base it on what society says or what your homeboy says. And this is some shit you got to kind of look at before you enter into a relationship. Like, what am I good at? Honestly, what am I good at? What am I proficient at? What things do I do better than she does? Then that's the shit I take. Things she do better, that's what she takes. So when it comes to washing dishes, cleaning the house, my mentality for all of this shit has always been, if you bringing money into the house, we gonna divvy up everything else. You see what I'm saying? Because I had a single mom who was the one that had to do everything, but she taught me how to clean, how to do a whole bunch of shit. And I want to be helpful around my house. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you're a man who you are the breadwinner, you make all the money, she stays at home all day. That's a conversation. So look, I'm the one paying everything. This is what you gonna do. Like sometimes I hear conversations about it and it sounds like some archaic shit. You know what I mean? Like take your damn shoes off and take your damn shoes off and do as I say type shit. And again, I'm not even knocking that if the woman is with it. Right, Sonia? If your woman agreed to that type of structure, then so be it. But in reality, Black people, we're not making a lot of money collectively. So separately, we're not making a lot of money. Collectively, if you can find somebody that you love, that you can tolerate, that you're friends with, that you
Right.
have something in common, you guys have common interests and common goals, that should supersede anything
Everything.
financially.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I will say as a man, like something I will mention, finances need to be divvied up correctly. And I would tell a man, you can't allow your woman to do too much more than you financially, though. Like, I think the lifestyle you guys create should be based on both of your incomes, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I also want to leave space for um folks to give themselves enough grace, and their spouses, their partners, grace, that growth is important in your relationships, and things might
Hmm.
change. And what I'm good at
Mm.
today might not
Hmm.
be something that I, just because I'm good at it don't mean that I like to do it.
There we
Right.
go. There we go.
And so let's have that kind of conversation. I think that it's important. I know that it's important for each of us as individuals to feel valued in
Mm-hmm.
whatever relationship we're in, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't care the level of I don't care if it's a parent child, if it's a sibling, if it's friend, if it's spouse and intimate partners. In those relationships, there is a trust factor that I trust that you got my best interest at heart. And
That's
so
what's most important.
even if I don't bring in the most money, I trust that you're going to make sure that we are good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So trust is important. I personally believe that once we get past the trust thing, that it's about establishing boundaries and expectations. Because as a 25-year-old, 26-year-old, when I met my husband, I think that the expectation he had of me, I had of him, and even what our parents had of us, right, was one thing. But I can tell you, as a 52-year-old mother and wife, that my expectations of me have changed. And so what I expect to do and how I show up in the world is different from the naive 25, 26-year-old Sonia. Like, she's gone. And I need to keep she gone. I love her too. But today at 52, these needs is not about to stand at no kitchen sink for no hour after I've cooked and right made a meal for a household of 10 plus sometime.
Mm-hmm.
My back begins to hurt, my knees begin to hurt, and my kids, my husband, they see it physically. It physically shows up in their face. It's not something that I just complain about just for the sake of complaining. So I'm different. And we have to give each other grace and space to grow and change.
That makes sense, Sonia, because and I guess when you meet someone matters. If you meet them in your 20s, both of y'all may see life a particular way. Both of y'all may have an idea of how things are supposed to move forward.
Right.
That shit may change, but what happens, I think, is sometimes for one person, you may be changing how you see what the roles should be in your relationship.
Right.
You just ain't told nobody yet.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
And
Because
we got to tell each other. We got to communicate. We can't assume that I fell in love. Well, that's
people that's the auspice, motherfuckers be under. I think you need to, because I know men who think in their mind a woman should be the one that cooks and cleans, and I don't do none of that shit. But haven't created an environment with either their finances or just their mentality that they're bold enough to tell a woman, this is what I want. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So then you find yourself being kind of resentful towards a woman and all this shit, all because you didn't establish what you wanted up front. But it's important that you will stay. And men, be careful what you say yeah to. I've been in this mentality where sometimes I just don't want to deal with shit.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Do it. You better care about everything. Every small little thing that's about to happen or that she wants to do, your ass better care about it, because you will find yourself in a situation not wanting to do something or feel pushed into something, which in reality, all you had to do was say no.
Right.
All you had to do was say it's not something I'm willing to do, and then we can go from there. You see what I'm saying? But if you find yourself where you're always saying yeah to some shit, it's gonna be a whole pile of shit you don't like doing or want to do, but you're doing it because your woman wants you to, and that That's unhealthy for men to think
Absolutely.
that. And that's not about money. That's not about
No.
having her more money than you having more money, because even if you have more money, you can still fall into the same trap. That's why money is just a
Absolutely.
tool that
It's a
we can
tool.
use to get us where we need to be. But what do you say yeah to? What do you stand on,
Right.
men? What
Right.
things about your life, in your future, in your household that you want to see happen, and you stand on it, and then y'all come to the table and decide what's going to happen? But if
Absolutely.
you be like, I don't care, just do whatever, then you're going to find yourself in trouble.
Find yourself in a whole lot of trouble. You won't know, you'll look up one day and be like, oh, we did, yeah. I would also say, as we are giving ourselves space to grow and to change, that we also want to have, those verbal check-ins, like, okay, this is impacting me in a different kind of way. I said yes to this 10 years ago, and we have to readdress, and reaffirm each other, because I
Mhm,
think that the most successful relationships are those who reaffirm one another.
mhm,
And that's not just a reaffirm you in, I value you as a person and what you bring to the table, to our relationship, our family dynamic, and our household. It's I see you working hard. I see you and the contributions you make to our household. I
mhm,
value your opinion, right?
mhm,
Because that sometimes it's not so much even the money that's the tool, right? It's the mentality that sometimes men, even women, right? I think that women sometimes too, especially if they've been in a single situation for a long time,
mhm,
that they find themselves in, I'm the one that make the decisions, or you can't tell me what to do, kind of
mhm,
thing.
mhm,
And I'm just a firm believer that when the communication is broken, all things can be all things are broken.
mhm, mhm. That's
All
true. That's
things are
true.
broken.
Because I think, like, I don't think men should be in a position where you can just telling a woman what to do and she does it blindly, right? I would prefer a woman who's strong-minded, who gonna question things, have a conversation with me.
Right.
But I will say there needs to men need to build up enough respect and accountability in their
Yeah.
household, where if I do say something
Right.
in a certain tone or a certain level of seriousness, the people in the household need to follow my lead.
Yeah.
Because if danger comes to this house, I'm gonna be the one in that everyone expects to deal with said
Right.
threat, right?
Right.
So I need to be given the same amount of liberty when I say, "Hey, this needs to happen," or "Hey, that needs to happen," because, like, just speaking from the masculine and feminine, real quick, men, when drama or something comes to your doorstep, any type of physical threat, we should be the ones to handle that. But you
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
out of the way and let me handle it, and you got to believe I'm telling you the truth.
Right.
When I say,
Right.
look, it's about to goddamn rain, put on your coat. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It's discretion. I'm going to, shamelessly admit that I am a connoisseur of reality TV. And so, when the
I
Housewives
like how you
series,
put that. I like how you put that.
no, I am a connoisseur of the ratchet ass shit that come on TV. I'm gonna be honest with you. So when these shows started to take off, my husband would be like, "Ooh, that's some. Why you watch this?" I'd be like, man, if these people with all these money is going through that,
Uh-huh.
this gives me like a fly on the wall perspective of, damn, money ain't everything, first
Money.
off,
Yeah.
right? And secondly, that we all human.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all, money ain't gonna change your heart. Money ain't gonna make you not bleed if you get cut.
Mm-hmm.
They still go through the stuff. So I look at these shows now and I'm like, I will send, sometimes I'll take my phone if we having an issue and I'll pause the show and I'll take my phone and I'll videotape just that little segment and I'll send it to him and he'd be like, is that for you or for me? I'd be like, it's just something that resonated with me.
Yeah.
So we have to, not only are we in creating the things that work for us as individuals, right? And in our relationships that are very personal, close, and dear to us,
Mm-hmm.
we also have to be watching those people who we trust. So if we have an example of parents or elders who we watched grow into their relationships into old age, you want to ask questions and get, like,
Hmm.
how did y'all get this to work, right?
Hmm.
Don't feel as though you are on an island and that you got to figure out this stuff alone, because really there's no manual,
Hmm.
and every marriage ain't the same for everybody. um
Hmm.
I can tell you honestly that about 10-15 years ago, my circle of friends, there were probably about 8 couples that we tried our hardest. Our thing was, we wanted to get together on a monthly basis just to have dinner and conversation. If the women wanted to go in another room and have a conversation, if the men wanted to go into a room and have a conversation, but we wanted to make space for upholding each other in Black marriages, right?
Mm.
And so we did that for several years until we figured out that it was all pump and circumstances. We saying one thing in person to us as a collective, like we saying, okay, well, if you really going through that, let's work through that. And then slowly but surely, couple after couple after couple, the cracks were too, because they hearing each other, they listening to each other's advice, and they like, oh, well, you using that as ammunition against your spouse.
Mm.
Every relationship is not the same. And I don't ever, like, I wish my husband would have ever came to me and said, well, this works in the such and such. I'm so sorry that works for her and him. That ain't
That,
gonna work for me.
yes,
I'm
our
telling you.
relationships are between the two people, and I've said it several times, but I think everything needs to be created with you two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you have traditions that you're bringing into the relationship based on how you were raised, based on your circumstances as a kid. I get that. But if we're going to build some shit, we got to build it from the ground up.
Yeah.
Like literally everything, what we believe in,
Yeah.
what we going to
And
celebrate.
let me say two more things. One is that the value of money, everybody's value of money is so different.
This is
Like,
very true.
I don't need to be rich, right? Because the value of money for me is, I value experience. I value connection. I
Hmm.
value presence. To me, that's what I value in my relationship.
Hmm.
We can be poor, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And if we together doing it together, robbing Peter to pay Paul, that's my happiness. It's the
Hmm.
experience. It's the love and the connection. Let me also say that as I've grown, it's 25, 26 years this year. Um, and it's the last 10 years have been a struggle, because that's been a huge growing period.
Hmm.
But I will say that I hope that we don't think that we got all the answers, and that
Mm.
just because we did it one way, that we can't try another way. And I don't
Ah,
want
that's
people to
true.
take, like, I hear me out, Black folks. I don't want us to take therapy off the table.
Hmm.
Like, we are a people who have been traumatized from generation to generation, and it transfers from mother to from in the womb to
Hmm.
child. And so we're carrying traumas from past generations. And so there are lots of things that we think that we're okay with, and really and truly it's trauma, and really and truly it's a mechanism of survival. How about we stop trying to survive and start trying to thrive?
There
And
we go.
some of the ways that we can thrive is to get healed from those things that we've been suffering in survival mode for. Like, if I always got to be on the attack like this, like ready to fight, and
Hmm.
everybody gets my fist, and it's coming, because you can see that I'm gonna knock if you buck, right? I'm for real. But can the soft side of Sonia be something that you appreciate too? And so I think that we have to begin to have these conversations, especially if we want to mirror to the next generation as
Hmm.
they bring partners into their lives. Like, I don't want my kids. I tell my kids all the time, your daddy ain't never, y'all have never heard him call me a bad name.
Mm.
I have a 29-year-old, a 25-year-old, a 22-year-old. My oldest two boys, unfortunately, because of the climate of the culture, right? I've heard them say some things to their girlfriends, and I'd be like,
Where you get that from, huh?
"What all? No, you want to fight me? You
Yeah.
called her what? Do you know? Oh my, you're breaking her. She is going to resent you. She is going to hate you. Like, don't do that. You
Yeah.
didn't get that as a model. Now you got some other things that you didn't see be modeled, and not just by your father as a man modeling for you,
Hmm.
And look, my sister-in-law Janetta's on here. She was one of the couples with she and my brother.
Okay, good.
Communication, bro. I'm telling you. But my boys, when I tell them you have models, you get to choose.
Mm-hmm.
You get to choose the good, the bad, and the indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
But if you choose the bad, you've seen what the outcomes are.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen that in play.
Mm-hmm.
So since you've seen that in play, won't you try something different?
Yeah.
And I'm just like right now, I'm in this phase of, ooh, let me call my therapist today because you really done set me on edge, and I don't know if we're gonna make it tomorrow.
No, that's a good point, because when earlier I was mentioning, like, be careful what you accept, right? Like, be careful what you agree to. But sometimes you can be agreeing to something based on the traumatized 14-year-old who didn't get the love from his mama or didn't have the attention or affection from his father. So you're agreeing to some shit based on a trauma-based mentality, based on hurt and pain. And I think sometimes we come out of that. Like, now we're not dealing with some of those same traumas. We have a better understanding of things. But then we say, well, wait a minute, damn, I done already agreed to 27 different things over 15 years. How do I undo all this shit? Like, how do I go back and say, you know what? I was just playing.
You go back and you say that I'm human and I'm sorry, but this ain't working for me no more.
This ain't working for me no more. And then that's a crossroad. Sometimes we be scared to get to that crossroad. This can be it. Like, and that could be amicable. Like, it don't have to be a big throwdown fight. But if we saying, look, these are the things I agree to now that I'm not going to agree to late, that I don't want to agree to anymore.
Yeah.
What do? You have to have that conversation. I know sometimes men, we don't talk. Me, and I'm guilty of this. Like, not holding stuff in, then it comes out in a negative way. Like, not
I appreciate you
on the spot.
that. I mean, I really and truly, if your wife ever says to, the things that we do when we hold our stuff in, right? Because it's almost like a biting of the tongue. I just want to say, as a woman, as a sis, like, I see that, and I appreciate men who say, yeah, I done some stuff, and I shouldn't have held that in, and it manifested in this way, and I didn't even know that that's how it was manifesting, but it came out in that way, and I didn't connect the two to each other. So yeah, we have to be aware of those things, and I, like I said, I can't say enough. We change over time. Give ourselves grace, man. And if you love somebody to the core of who they are, give them grace to grow. And if you can't grow with them, give them grace to let them go.
That was a bar right there, Sonia.
Hey.
All right, thank you everybody for tuning into another episode of the Melanated Convo podcast. But this is important, man. Like, who makes more money? What does it matter? Does it matter to you? You better think about this shit. You better establish what you want, what you will do, and what you won't do. And understand where it's coming from. Like, make sure it ain't coming from because you used to get abused, or make sure it ain't coming from the fact that your family didn't have money, so now you're traumatized and you need all type of new and flashy shit simply because you didn't have. You better get help, like get a therapist, a shrink as they call it, have someone to speak to, a close friend, maybe. I would say maybe a therapist or something, because sometimes friends can be a little tricky, you know what I mean? But do the work, basically. And first you got to admit that there's a problem. You feel me? So I'm your brother Harrison. Sonia, tell everybody where they can find you.
I recommend going to my website, which is Ascribe Success, ASCRIBE success.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as Ascribe Success, just like it is. And if you want to see the funnier, vulnerable, oftentimes unapologetic side of me, I am Sonia Williams-Lewis. And that page you can only follow as a fan, so you might not get a lot of access because it's too many folks. I'll be like trying to delete. When the last time I heard from that person, delete. One last comment that I seen came up in here. I had to learn to hold back learning who you are daily. Oh my God, that's a good point. That's my sister-in-law, Janetta. I love her to death. But again, we have to be very conscious about how we show up and take up space, because when we're talking about money, Harrison, it might be, I learned the value of money based on what I can do for you. Right. So we got to even tread the line very cautiously.
Transactional. Yeah.
Right. Because I don't like that transactional kind of love. And I think that kids learn that lesson when we talk about allowances. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want that to be the lesson that you learn if I give you an allowance. The lesson I want you to learn is on the value of money and how you spend and save your dollar. I don't want you to think, oh, you can go do more chores and then get some more money because there's no value in the actual money. So yeah,
Transactional. Yep.
transactional love. Yeah, you want to? I question that all the time. Yeah, no.
Definitely, definitely. Well, everybody, do me a favor and follow me on Instagram at Melanated Convo 100. Melanated Convo 100. I'm your brother Harrison. PrecisionCreates.com is the
Yes.
website. If you need to order some custom shirts, I have some original apparel on the website as well. Support a Black business. This has been the Melanated Convo podcast. Me and my sister Sonia, happy to be back on with you, sister.
Yes.
Everybody have a good day. We out.